Powerlifting is a strength sport that consists of athletes attempting maximum weight lifts of squat, bench press, and deadlift. Welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Nodley Wright, and with me is Orville Byfield, Technical Director, and Richardo Green, Coach. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
First of all, gentlemen, what is powerlifting?
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Orville.
Powerlifting is a competitive sport that consists of 3 lifts or 3 exercises, which we have the squat, bench press, and deadlift. Each athlete have 3 attempts at each lift for each exercise. So,
all right. Richardo, how is this different from what we see at the Olympics?
Well, what we see at the Olympics is that the Olympic weightlifting has to do with 2 categories of lifts. That entails snatch and clean and press. Whereas powerlifting, as Mr. Byfield just said, it's competed or contested in 3 areas, and the 3 areas are bench press, squats, and deadlift.
So if I were to interchange weightlifting with powerlifting, then I'd be way off?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay. All right. Powerlifting, is it or was it an Olympic sport, or was never in that realm?
No, it hasn't gotten Olympic approval, is it, from the International Olympic Committee, but it is still in that stage of trying to get that approval because of due to certain factors, as its whole international popularity of as it relates to a number of countries participating in the sport as it is right now. So the associations are working assiduously to get the sport on that level.
Okay. How widely practiced is it?
I'll say it is fairly widely practiced because there are a number of federations, including the lead federation, which is the International Powerlifting Federation. So we have other federations alongside the International Powerlifting Federation that has their own competitions outside of the approval of the International Federation, but it causes a bit of I can say like this similarity in the sense that when some federations have different rules that govern their competition versus what the IPF rules are. So yeah, it's popular in that sense because there are a lot of federations that governs the sport.
And here's a natural segue from what you just said. I'm going to ask you, Orville.
Yes.
What are the rules of powerlifting?
in powerlifting, the rules are you have to report to the competitive area at least 2 hours before. You have to listen to the instruction of the judge. The judge would tell you to lift or to rock it. So you have to move within a certain timeline, or else you would have a no lift. And in terms of persons coming in terms of your weight class, you have to come in and weigh in before a certain time. So there are certain rules in terms of, you have judges that would say, for example, you're coming in, you have to get 3 white lights to get a lift, or at least 2.
3 white lights?
Yes, because they have clickers.
Oh, okay.
So the clickers will state on the first one you get a click.
Like a good lift.
Like a good lift. Okay. So you have white for good lift and you have the red for bad lift. So if you even lift the weights but it's not done in the correct technique, then that's a no lift.
It's a foul.
Yes.
Okay. All right. In terms of, there's always going to be the gender question that comes in. Are there many women involved in this? And if yes, what of young people, as in teenagers, or just for adults and masculine adults?
Well, if I may, well, that's one of the issues that the International Powerlifting Federation is presently facing between themselves and the International Olympic Committee, because of the inequality in gender as it relates to their executive committee. So one of the requirements that the International Olympic Committee has requested of the International Powerlifting Federation is that they create that balance between gender on the executive committee. And in doing so, I guess it would appeal a lot more to female athletes as it relates to the powerlifting sport.
Well, I think it's almost mandated now that all sporting bodies have that balance.
It's mandated by the IOC that there should be equality amongst male and female athletes.
Okay, is that participation, is it 50-50 or?
Yeah, they are working towards 50-50, but we know that for some sports it is male dominated, but now the federations are now urged, all the presidents, to put in a female program within their organization and to do a lot more promotions in that area.
Is there a female program put in with the Jamaican one?
Yes, there is a female program. I mean, last week we just concluded our first seminar, powerlifting seminar, and while they were having their award ceremony, the president have announced a female coach, national coach for the association.
What's her name?
Her name is
Tabitha Anderson.
Tabitha Anderson.
What about youngsters? There's always this issue about weightlifting and children, and people trying to figure out at what age is ideal for youngsters to get into lifting heavy weights. What is your age limit?
All right, for powerlifting, we start at 16 years old. But we know that you can start weightlifting from a younger age. But there is a structure in which how you would do that. For example, we know that you can do natural exercises, push-ups, you can squat with your own body weight. So you can do exercises with your own body weight and under proper supervision. All right? But the legal age to start in powerlifting and in our association would be at 16 years old.
Okay. In terms of growing the sport, what's your strategy for growing the sport? All
right. Seeing now that I am the acting TD, technical director, and I'm working along with my head coach here. So we're going to be putting in some things in place, and one of them would be to go to the gyms, visit, talk to people, educate them about becoming coaches or athletes in the powerlifting. Also, we're going to use our media and social platform to get more exposure for persons who would be interested in coming out to be either a coach or to become an athlete or to help out in the competitive areas. Like, we're going to need spotters, we're going to need pursers, we're going to need judges to help out with competitions. So we're going to use also competitions in terms of our 14 parishes. So we have like parish champions, and then we have another league that would now select talent from that 14 parish, so that we can have the best athletes representing Jamaica, the male and the female powerlifters.
How soon do you intend to start that, though?
As soon as possible.
Well, we have our first competition in the making for this year, November.
November?
Yeah, November of this year.
Under these COVID times?
Well, all the COVID protocols and restrictions will be observed. So.
Okay. And has registration been open?
Not as yet.
Well, not as yet. It hasn't been, but it's in the developmental stage as it relates to the whole registration of the athletes and everything. Okay.
But in terms of what you have seen since you have been officially constituted and you have been meeting with your constituents, what has the response been like in terms of interest and people willing to get involved?
The interest is really good. I mean, the president is Mr. Michael Blair. He has been getting a lot of compliments in terms of being so young and doing so well in such a short period of time. So I would say that there is a lot of traction, and there are a lot of persons who are interested both locally and internationally. So we keep growing from strength to strength.
Let's take a break now, gentlemen. When we return, we'll have some more. Welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm Nodley Wright. With me is Technical Director of the Jamaica Powerlifting Association, Mr. Orville Byfield, and Richardo Green, Head Coach. Gentlemen, at the point we broke, Richardo wanted to chime in on the whole response to this new sport. You may go ahead, Richardo.
Yes, what I wanted to add was that we have had a number of stakeholders who have come on board and signed MOUs with the associations, such as the University of the West Indies and the UTEC. And these MOUs have been
I don't understand. University of the West Indies and UTEC? But these are two equal universities. Please do speak to UTEC properly, sir.
Well, the MOU was signed in terms of therapeutical help, and the MOU for the University of Technology Jamaica is signed off and based on the coaching education. So those are two separate MOUs.
Thank you very much. Richardo, I just wanted to throw you off a little bit, but we have to fix up UTEC properly.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
You may continue.
All right, so thank you. And as it relates to the athletes' response, there has been growing interest from our social media platform. As it is, we have our Instagram page, our Facebook page that persons are sensitized about, and they could go there, see what the association is about, what we're offering. They could register and become athletes and participate in the sport after they fill out all the necessary documents or the required documents that are needed for them to become athletes in the sport.
A training and development workshop. Yes. What was the significance of that, and how does it fit into your goals?
All right. In terms of the recent concluded seminar, the president and I, and the association, we are interested in educating our coaches, because if we don't have the proper coaches with the knowledge and skills to train and teach our athletes, then we will not have that foundation to grow within the sport of powerlifting. So that's the first sign of entry to select persons to move on to the level one that will come further with the MOU with the University of Technology Jamaica. So this is really a screening point. So you have to come to our seminar, which is time-based. So you have to come from 10 o'clock. We will start until 4 p.m. So within this seminar, the course outline would be powerlifting rules, safety. We'll look at periodization, we'll look at the fitness cycle, we'll look at drugs in sports, we'll look at fluid management, we'll look at prevention of injuries and injuries management, and we'll look at the psychology of sport. So it is a whole detailed program throughout the day, so participants have to be there for the entirety or the duration of the course to be awarded that certificate of participation.
And in terms of the success of that, what do you say about that, Mr. Green?
Well, it was very successful. We garnered a lot of information from the aspect that Mr. Byfield just spoke to, as it relates to the whole education of the coaches, the execution of planning, strategic planning, as it relates to getting the athletes prepared for competition and keeping them in sync with what they need to do outside of competition. But may I add, we also had a workshop with the JADCO, the Anti-Doping Commission, who has been representative for the WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency, and that workshop as well was very informative. Very informative. We were educated in the whole thing as it relates to doping in sports, and the do's and the don'ts as it relates to what type of drugs are not supposed to be used, as we know that doping in sport is a very big thing. So we were sensitized and educated on that.
And in bodybuilding and weightlifting, there's a stigma about drug taking, steroids and other forms of drugs. So,
that's why the president took the initiative to ensure that we are educated in terms of what is there and how we should apply ourselves accordingly.
But let me ask you this though, because in most sports you have a profile of what the athlete should look like. What's the profile of a powerlifter? What do you look for in order to identify a potential powerlifter?
Well, to identify a powerlifter, selection of talent, how you identify power, you'd have to do strength times speed. So you'd have to look and see in terms of gym what the type of max that these persons would do in a squat, in a bench press, in a deadlift. All right, and then from there you would do the other muscular development around that. So you know that if you're training somebody, you can't just give them bench press, squat, and deadlift. So you'd have to build the other major and minor muscles around that. But powerlifting, the three main exercises are the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift.
All right, say you're taking somebody from off the street, because I could look at a person and say, this one will make a good 400-meter runner, or that one will be a good fast bowler. How do you, looking at people walking, how do you identify a potential that you could develop into
by
a powerlifter?
By testing.
All right,
let me hear you, Richard.
I think it's a very good question. For one, because of, as we know, powerlifting is a strength-based sport, right? You have bodybuilding that does the whole, that deals with the whole dynamics of the building of the muscle, the development of the muscles. So when you look at a bodybuilder, you will see a more of a defined person, muscularly, a defined person. A powerlifter not necessarily might be that defined, but he or she might also have a lot of muscle mass, because with the muscle mass comes, one will presume that there's a lot of strength. However, as what Mr. Byfield alluded to, you will have to actually put these athletes through the rudiments of testing, right? And in the categories that he just explained, as it's squat, bench press, and deadlift. So if you see the person walking along and you say that, all right, he or she might be a potential powerlifter, you could first, engage them, get them inside the gym, and put them through the rudiments of strength building to see what their capabilities are, their capacities are. It's not just something for you to just look at and say, well, he would be a good powerlifter. You can't, it doesn't work like that. It has to be tested. Okay.
In terms of, there must be, I know you alluded to a recruitment plan. How is that going, one? And two, what is the cost associated with this? Because here I am, a layman, I'm thinking that this must be an expensive sport, the equipment, the food, and all of that. How does that work?
Well, basically, by having competitions and regular competitions, you would have some kind of prize money that would be given out through sponsors. Because while you are competing and you want to have the sports to become very attractive, you would have to have good purse money. Yes, so the sponsors would come on board for that, and then we are looking at the other competitions that are there internationally. Even though it is not recognized as yet as an Olympic sport, we know that there are competitions out there internationally that bring good purse money, because we know that even when you look at other sports, once you're competing, like for example track and field, you go on the Grand Prix, that's where you would earn. So we are now looking at those avenues where our athletes can earn, and also avenues where they can get even scholarship to go overseas to train. Another thing I should say to you also is that we are looking at starting powerlifting in the high schools. So at our concluded seminar that we had the president for ISA who was there, who seems very interested in having powerlifting a part of the school curriculum, within that area. And remember now, if we have more powerlifting coaches, we can have those coaches that can help to do strength and conditioning within the schools as well. And also identifying talent, because we know that we have a lot of throwers as well who are very powerful guys. They are not bodybuilders, but they are very explosive and they pump a lot of weights, so we can convert some of them. So we have to have a nursery, and once we start them off at the nursery level, then we should not have problem in terms of our selection of talent. They would be selected naturally. They would come forth, and then we can use these persons to compete for Jamaica at an international level.
Excellent. But the follow-up question is, how do you support this financially, getting all the equipment in the schools and so forth?
Through the principals, through sponsors, through the old boys, because you know some of these schools are old boys or old girls association. So, and if we have the government on board, we have SDF.
Do you have all of these bodies on board?
Well, we have been in negotiation, and the interest level is very good at this point in time. So we continue to work assiduously to get these persons involved and to have them sponsor us as we go along.
Sounds interesting, but let me ask you this. So we're looking at it from the amateur perspective now, but professionally, how lucrative is this?
Well, for me, based on my limited research thus far, it is a lucrative sport, and the sport is actually growing. So as we go along, we will see how well the sport will do in terms of the financial aspects.
Okay, so you're convinced that people can make a living from this?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Oh, I should have asked you this before.
Yes.
So we have a national body. Do we have a regional body, a body within the Caribbean that governs what takes place here? And do they have a competition regionally? I should have asked you that before. So that quickly,
well, we are going to, there's a competition in 2022.
2022 in Panama.
In
and
Panama.
Cayman 2023.
And in Cayman 2023. So we do have persons who are competing within this region.
Yeah, North America Federation.
Okay.
Yes. So.
Well, gentlemen, we're out of time. It was really an interesting discussion. I'm even thinking of signing up, but maybe I don't have the physique.
Remember, it's not,
no, man, we have a good coach here.
It's not the physique, it's the strength within.
Yes.
Always remember that.
Well, I'll consider that, but I'm certain that our viewers were interested. Thanks again, Mr. Orville Byfield, Technical Director, and Richardo Green, Head Coach. I'm Nodler Wright. I was your host, and I will be your host next time. Thanks for joining.